I'm Kat.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and each teach a lesson we can't teach at school. What are we drinking, Hayley?
We are drinking, where is it? Okay, here it is, the Mountain Cadet? C-A-D-E-T? Cadet? Cadet, bidet, whatever you want to call it. It'll get you right. It's a 2017 edition. Bordeaux, I think, is the winery. Bordeaux.
Bordeaux is the region.
The region. Yikes. All I know about this wine is that it's really good.
It is really good.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's like really dry, I think. It's not too heavy or anything like that.
Yeah, there's not much sweetness, but it still has a lot of flavor. I don't know what flavors.
Blackberry.
Blackberry.
So says a wine website.
Does it have anything else?
It has, let me pull it back up here, hints of oak, vanilla, and tobacco.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't get any fruit, so it makes sense that oak, vanilla, and tobacco are the other tastes. It feels very sophisticated.
Yeah, I feel great drinking it.
Me too.
I feel like I could be in France right now.
Yeah, I feel fancy. I feel like I'm just gonna sound chill and intellectual tonight.
I don't know. Well, maybe you will, but I could barely pronounce French words.
That's true. Bordeaux, I think that's the winery.
Okay, it's just there are many words on this bottle.
And it's in cursive. That makes it harder.
And it's in cursive. Yeah. And okay, it's like when you bring an outdoor cat inside. They're not used to being inside. I've been drinking boxed wine for the past 4 years. Just kidding. I'm only 23. At least. So when you bring me into this bottle wine world, it takes some acclimation.
Yeah.
And we're getting there.
This is a fancy one. It's kind of expensive. It's on the higher end.
It is on the higher end. And actually online, it is not available for purchase right now. Yeah.
But you know where you can get it.
Oh, I know where we can get it.
Where can we get it?
We can get it at High Point Grocery. We have partnered with them. They are a so cute local grocery store here in Memphis, Tennessee. And first of all, I love going in there to get our wines. They're like specially handpicked for us because we're fancy. But High Point Grocery does sell this wine and you can get it too. It is $18.99 at High Point Grocery. And the address of High Point Grocery is
469 High Point Terrace.
469. Damn, it's fine. Okay, I just have to make that joke every time. I just can't not. I don't know
69
why.
will never be not funny though.
Yeah, to whoever does. Okay, I feel like I didn't know what 69 meant for a little too long when I was younger.
Yeah, I think I also didn't quite understand the mechanics of it until I got much older. Right. It is a confusing thing to wrap your head around.
It's elusive. It's confusing. It's funny. The numbers mirror each other. It's just an all-around great number, amongst other things.
It's my favorite. But yeah, High Point Grocery is badass, and they have an amazing wine selection, and they really do have local brands and stuff that you cannot get anywhere else. We're in Memphis, Tennessee, so everyone and their mom here makes barbecue sauce. And the barbecue sauce aisle at High Point is popping. You can get all the local barbecue sauce. So even if you're a Memphis tourist, stop in there. And then you don't have to go to every barbecue restaurant under the sun. You can just pick up 10 bottles of Memphis barbecue sauce.
MYOB, make your own barbecue.
Yeah.
And then head on over to High Point, get your sauce on.
Get your sauce.
Sweet. Well, now that we have the wine covered, I did something very adult this week.
Oh no. Did you invest in GameStop?
No, I didn't. I joked that we walked past GameStop when we were going to Baskin Robbins to pick up some ice cream. They have a GameStop? Yeah, it's right next to Baskin Robbins.
Oh my God. I genuinely didn't know it still existed until this week.
Oh yeah, they're alive and well, apparently. But I was joking. I was like, I should walk in there and just start get streamers and be like, congratulations! I'm so happy for you. So that was just kind of silly. But no, I didn't invest in anything. But it is financial related. I refinanced my car.
Wow, that is adult.
I know. It felt wrong almost.
The word refinance makes my heart start beating fast and I feel like I'm going to throw up.
Me too.
Anything financial that's adult. I really applaud you for that because that is a trigger for my anxiety.
Thank you. I mean, me too. I was supposed to do this a little under a year ago. I talked to my financial advisor and she was like, yeah, go ahead, finance your car. Just like, it's really easy. Just figure it out. And I was like, okay. And then I waited like 10 months to do it.
So do you pay less per month now?
I pay over $100 less per month and I still have the same amount of time left before it's paid off.
Wait, what? Mm-hmm. How does that work? The interest got lower?
Yeah, I got a lower interest rate. So I got my car right out of college and I was fucked on the interest rate. But now I just have like an average interest rate and it's a lot better.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, all right, let me graduate, get a car, get my credit right, and then refinance that shit.
Damn, girl, that's awesome.
I felt so
happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I haven't done anything adult this week. I've been.
You've taught children, or you've been there?
No, I haven't even been teaching children because our kids are taking benchmark testing, like to make sure they've like learned something. Which, spoiler alert, they haven't because it's virtual school and everyone's struggling. But like literally all week we've been testing them. And so I sit there and I say, Johnny, why aren't you testing? And Johnny says, I'm having Wi-Fi issues. And I say, you're a dirty liar and I'm going to call your mom. And that's been all day, every day.
Do you still wear like professional teacher clothes when you teach from home?
I do. That's a lie. I'm supposed to. I wear like t-shirts with a cardigan on top and then like leggings on the bottom. So no.
So comfy.
But like I try to look nice from the waist up.
Yeah, not just rolling out of bed.
No, but I did wear a sweatshirt for the last 2 days, but it had my college on it. And I feel like if I'm advertising a college at school, then it counts as professional.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm inspiring. You too can be a teacher.
I feel like at this point in time, really just showing up to virtual learning and teaching is enough. And it should be.
Oh yeah. You should not have to dress professionally to work from home.
Yeah.
That's just demonic.
The main goal should just be keeping people safe and trying.
Yeah, literally. And I usually work from my school building. Even though the kids aren't there, I go into my classroom and work. But this week, since I don't actually have to teach, I can just be like on my laptop in my living room, which has been really nice. I've been getting lots of sleep.
I'm so happy for you. Yeah, I've been living the working from home life since the new year started and I'm into it.
Yeah, it's been great. So I feel like I have a lot of energy today because I've been saving it up, not working.
Good. We're going to freaking need it.
Yeah. And I've been like doing extra night classy research. Like I got my research done for this episode on Monday and then I've just been doing more
Look
random
at you,
topics.
Trucking ahead.
Yeah.
I was editing my notes today, like around noon on lunch, and this is so dumb. I was like starting to edit my notes, and then I was like, ooh, I've been wanting to like see a psychiatrist because I think I might have ADD. Let me take an ADD test. And I was like, I think that is the test. Is like if you stop doing something to take an ADD test. Is that the test?
Probably.
Well, I got positive, so.
Yeah, you should see a doctor. Also, I'm going to talk about something and like, Hayley, I'm not recommending it to you because if you actually have ADD, you should see a doctor. But I was watching TikTok and I've gotten so many good ideas of things I want to buy from TikTok lately.
Oh, me too. It's an issue.
And we were talking about boner cream before this, how we want to buy boner cream to put on our lips.
Whoa. Weed is not the right word.
Sorry, I sucked you into it. But I felt like you were on my team. Alec is very against it.
I am on your team. I'm on your team for you doing it.
Yeah. And then I'll tell you how it goes.
Yeah. You test it out.
I'm going to test it out. So there was a TikTok and the guy put boner cream on his lips and then it made his lips huge. And I'd like to try it. And then Alec got like, for some reason, really butthurt about it. And I felt like he was mad at me. But I'm still going to do it. But anyway, I saw on TikTok.
Hold on. If you're going to drag me into this, I just said it sounds unsafe and it sounds weird. I've never heard of boner cream that swells your penis. And I think that's a strange thing to put on your lips that I kiss.
Alec just wants everyone to know that his erections are large enough without boner cream.
Oh my God.
He's never heard of boner cream. And that's why he was offended by it.
I think that what you should really do is buy out all the boner cream tubes. And then here's what you're going to do. You're just going to get a sticker to put on it. You're going to keep all the nutritional information the same. And it's lip cream.
I will buy empty tubes of lip gloss, fill them with boner cream, put my own sticker on it, make $1 million.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like my idea is easier, but you do you.
If you want to buy Night Glossy Perch boner cream for your lips, here's where to get it.
I was watching America's Next Top Model season 19, and it's just fantastic. It's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, all the looks are from 2008 or so, and it's phenomenal. And I was just having so much fun. It's the best reality TV I've watched in a while.
Oh,
we watched The Bachelor.
It's incredible. There's so many cringy moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to restart it. I was really into Top Model back in middle school when it was a big thing, and then I fell off the map. And my mom hates Tyra Banks. She thinks she's so annoying. And I would watch Top Model and tell my mom about how cool I thought Tyra was, just to kind of piss her off.
Tyra Banks has a really big personality.
Yeah, I feel like you either really enjoy Tyra Banks or you really hate her.
It's easier to like her.
Yeah,
it's easier to like her.
I like crazy people.
Clearly.
And so I like Tyra.
But that was my one thing. We do have some Patreons to shout out.
Yeah, we do. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So I would like to shout out Caitlin Bridges from Asheville, North Carolina. Her pronouns are she and her. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining the Patreon family and supporting us. We thank you so much.
Yes. We thank you, Caitlin. And I also want to shout out our friend of the podcast. We've never met in real life, but I consider her a friend because we talk on Instagram a lot. Brooke Stone of Simi Valley, California. Pronouns are she, her. And every time I ask people on Patreon, about their shout out, I ask if there's anything they want to add, and Brookstone took this opportunity to gas us up, so I'm here for it. She said, "You ladies make me feel like I made a couple of new friends in the middle of the pandemic. Thanks for making me laugh during your podcast and for making me feel slightly smarter after listening to an episode."
Wow. Oh, thank you, Brooke.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke. And I'm sorry that our podcast makes you feel smarter, because it probably shouldn't, but
okay,
I'm glad. That makes me feel good that it is educational.
It is educational. We give solid research. And honestly, I think if schools were structured like this, where teachers could have fun and teach, then kids would actually learn a lot more. We might be not learning as much week to week. Due to our intoxication
I learned
levels.
way more doing night classy than I do teaching 6th grade math.
Okay, well,
I mean, I already know all there is to know about exponents.
All I'm saying is that it's not the easiest thing in the world to recall all the facts and details from each other's lessons.
Yeah, speaking of that, I've been asking for episode suggestions, and twice this week I've had people request topics that we've already done.
Wow.
Which makes me feel really good. We're getting to the point where we've done so many things that there's things people, that we've already done. We've just done all the things. No, we haven't. There's a lot more.
We've done all the things. We're 47 episodes in. Well, I guess this is it.
But I mean, 47 times 2 topics
is how much? We'll never know.
A lot.
There's no way to know.
A94. I think.
I'm not even going to try to do the math, so good on you.
Okay, thanks. I have one final plug. So as we're recording this, we just released our January Patreon episode. And on that episode, we had Reggie Jr., a local Memphis comedian, teach us about his experience growing up on the Memphis professional wrestling scene. And it was freaking awesome. Reggie is so funny. If you're a Patreon, definitely check it out. And if you're thinking about becoming a Patreon, donate that $1 a month so you can just hear this episode, because Reggie is just hilarious. He was a delight.
Yeah, I can't wait to re-listen to it because, oh my God, we were just laughing constantly.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. And if you're into comedy, you should check out Reggie Jr. Comedy on Instagram and Twitter. He's doing a lot of online shows right now. So you can definitely attend his like online stand-up shows. I'm sure he has a link in his bio that you can check him out. He's awesome.
All right, let's do this thing. I blew a measly 0.03.
And I blew a 0.113. So I don't know why I'm so much drunker than you. But.
Me either. I like have trust issues now with this new actual good breathalyzer. I don't know why I can't trust it. It's probably because the old one has me so broken.
Yeah, I think we have trust issues now. But also like you blew twice and it gave you the same answer twice.
Yeah, I just thought I was more intoxicated.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's hard to tell.
I'll sit back and
well, you can drive us home.
Nope, not gonna agree to that. I'll get us an Uber home. Alec, you want a glass of wine?
I'm good.
He's just like still fuming from the boner cream.
Well, tell us about your lesson. Maybe it'll change the mood.
All right, I'll diffuse the situation. So like I was saying, I've been asking for topic suggestions because I just want to try to get out of my box. But one thing that was suggested multiple times by multiple people is Bloody Mary. The legend of Bloody Mary. So that's what we're talking about tonight.
Nice.
Yes. And I'm sure that everyone listening, at least if you're like in an English speaking country, you know what Bloody Mary is, I'd imagine. But if you don't, it's basically this ritual game where you summon a ghost, and you do that by being in a dark room and looking into a mirror, and you say Bloody Mary a number of times until something supposedly appears in the mirror. There's all kinds of versions of this, all kinds of ways to play. We'll go over it a little bit. In some versions, she's good, and some she's evil, or she hurts you. But yeah, there's just a lot of different ways. So Bloody Mary is a form of katroptomancy.
What?
I don't know. I had to practice saying that a few times and I still stumbled. But this is basically just divination using a mirror. And this has been around for a while. Like think about Snow White. That's what she was doing with her magic mirror. Bloody Mary, as we know it today, is based on a 19th century katroptomancy ritual. This ritual was for young women to be able to identify their future husband. The way it worked was you would wait until nighttime and the house was completely dark. You would hold a candle in one hand and a hand mirror in the other. And you would walk backward down the stairs while looking into the mirror by candlelight. And supposedly you would see your future husband's face.
No wonder the death rates were so high.
Right? That's all I could think of when I was typing this out. Like, you're going to walk backward down the stairs with a candle.
Barely even walk up the stairs. What are these girls doing?
And think about the age. Like, these girls are probably in their early teens when you would do this. Like, oh my God. If I caught my child walking backward down the stairs with a candle, I wouldn't have a child anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Ship them to military school.
You're never going to find out who you're going to get married to because you're dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop being stupid.
Seriously, I'm going to lock you in the attic. You can't marry anyone.
Oh my God.
Until you figure out how to grow a brain. Like, who does this?
Okay, I'm sure that's what freaking, oh God, what was her name?
No.
Not Claudia. I thought Claudia Longue
because she was French, right?
Yeah. What the heck was her name? Something Blanche
Monnier.
Blanche Monnier. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't go quite that far.
I mean, it's a slippery slope.
But I would think about it. Like, not only are you risking your life, but you're risking burning my house down. Good night. So, so you would do this and you'd hope to see your husband's face, but sometimes you might see a skull or a grim reaper, and that meant that you were going to die before you got married. Yikes.
Yeah. I mean, that's scary.
Yeah.
Is this a common occurrence?
I mean, I don't know. From what I could find, the times when this is referenced was in a 19th century like Halloween poem. But it was something that like everyone knew about. It was kind of like the Bloody Mary ritual of the day. And I don't know if this was actually done a lot or if it was just kind of like an urban legend, but it was well known at the time.
I'm so glad that we played like MASH to see like, who are you going to marry? How many kids are you going to have?
Yeah, that's much safer. If you wanted a safe version of this ritual, there's like other versions where instead of walking backward down a staircase holding a candle, you can just sit in front of the mirror with a candle and you can either eat an apple or comb your hair. Okay. And the same thing will happen.
Why haven't I done that? I'm over here playing the long game, cruising through Tinder, cruising through Hinge, dating people, dating them long term. Like, why can't I just like...
Well, this just tells you who your husband will be. It doesn't summon a husband.
Yeah, so but maybe if I know who he is, I can seek him out.
That's true. That's a good point. Maybe we should try this and make sure that we're in the proper relationships. Just kidding, Alec. But anyway, so this is what we think the Bloody Mary ritual is based on, because it was done by mostly young women or girls, and it was a mirror type ritual. And so we think Bloody Mary is kind of birthed out of that. Of course, Bloody Mary looks a little bit different. You can do it by yourself or you can do it in a group. The important part is the mirror. You need to be in a mirrored room. Usually a bathroom is used because the room has to be dark, and bathrooms usually don't have so many windows. You hold a candle, lighter, or flashlight, like any type of light. When I've played as a kid, it was a flashlight because I was smart and didn't play with lighters when I was a child, but you know. And then you look into the mirror and you say Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. You can say it 3, 7, or 13 times. It depends on which version you're playing.
We did 7.
7, okay.
And I was disappointed every time I did not see her in the mirror.
Yeah.
But also relieved.
Also, yeah, really relieved because I just remember the sheer terror of playing this as a kid.
Yeah, this
really
common space that you go into, you use the restroom all the time is now like you could meet your death. It feels like.
You could see a ghost in the mirror and then guess what bathroom you have to fucking use when you wake up in a strange place at 4 a.m.
That one.
And it's dark. You have to use that one.
Your SOL.
That was the worst part of Bloody Mary. You'd play and then you'd go to bed and then you'd wake up and have to use the bathroom and have to use the bathroom that you played Bloody Mary in. And you're like, maybe she just didn't show up because I was with people. But now that I'm going into that same bathroom by myself,
right?
Where is she?
She's a little shy bitch. She's going to sneak up on you.
She wants to get you alone.
Look you right in the mirror.
She's a predator. But other versions, you can say it with increasing volume each time, get louder. And then after you say her name, you're supposed to stare into your own eyes into the mirror and wait.
Oh my God. That's like every time I'm drunk. I'm like just looking at myself in the mirror like, want to fight?
You're like, that's me?
Is that what I look like?
Is that what I look like? I'm so pretty.
Or has that wrinkle always been there?
Have my eyes always looked this red and watery?
My eyes are hazel? What the hell? What the hell?
Throws up into the sink. There are some other ways you can play. Some sites recommend starting the game exactly at midnight. Others say you can run the sink or the bathtub, and that like symbolizes Mary's tears.
Yeah, we did that too.
You did?
Yeah, we did. The sink would run. Mm-hmm.
Did it ever work? Did you ever see Bloody Mary?
No, but also I have a theory, like if for hundreds of years you've got a bunch of kids calling, like summoning you, maybe you go at first. Maybe in the 19th century you go. But then shit gets old, you know? You move on. You outgrow it.
That's
right?
true.
You mature. You evolve.
I would hope so. Or maybe she can only be in one place at one time. So she'll show up to one group of girls, but if you're doing it at the same time, she can't
busy.
She can't be more than one place at once.
Yeah, she's like, I can't talk right now. I'm doing hot girl shit.
Cut to her like screaming and bloody in a mirror. We should make that a TikTok.
We should. We definitely need to.
Yeah,
now.
that would be a good one. I have fake blood.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, who wants to be a Bloody Mary? Alec.
I'll do it. That sounds fun as fuck.
Alec would like to be Bloody Mary.
Bloody Al.
Yeah, bloody Alec.
My sister's name is Mary.
That's true. We could make Cam do it.
Yeah.
I don't think she would like to.
No, she wouldn't.
You can also spin around as you say the chant, and you spin around 12 times. And then once you get to the end of your 12th turn, you stare into the mirror and say Bloody Mary one time. You can also say, I believe in Mary Worth instead of Bloody Mary, or you can say, Bloody Mary, I stole your baby.
Oh, no. Are we going to get deets?
We're going to talk about like all the different legends behind this. And one of them talks about Mary Worth and the others like talk about babies. So we'll definitely talk about it. Once you're done playing Bloody Mary, you're supposed to turn on the lights, and then you should cleanse the space. One way you can do this is to draw a cross on the mirror using soap.
Literally cleanse it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I literally wash the mirror. Or you can burn sage. You can draw a circle with salt on the ground. You know, the usual shit.
Get a slug from your caboodle and put a salt ring around it and then summon Mary.
That's mean. What if Mary was a giant slug and that's why salt on the floor worked?
We cracked the code.
That's it. That's it. Bloody Mary might...
Sluggy Mary.
Sluggy Mary.
Sluggy Mary, Sluggy Mary, Sluggy Mary.
Slimy sluggy. Bloody Mary might be a witch or a ghost. Those are different ways she can appear. Sometimes she's covered in blood. She might scream. She might strangle you. She might scratch you. She might drink your blood. She might scratch herself. There's all kinds of ways. She just can't make up her mind. She does all kinds of stuff.
On my period. You don't know what Hayley you're gonna get. She will not be sweet though. You know that. First she's sour, then she's sour.
She will be mean and covered in blood. So you're probably wondering, like, where the hell does this come from and who is Mary?
You're reading my mind.
It's
crazy.
It's a skill. So Bloody Mary as a ritual first appeared in the 1970s. And the folklore was, I'm sure, lasted before that, but this is the first time it appeared in writing. And it was inside of a book of folklore for kids. Who it's based on, who is Mary, we don't know. Like folklore does, whoever's telling the story, like when you're at the sleepover telling your friends we should play this or your younger cousins, you tell the story of Bloody Mary before you go, and it changes every time. Bloody Mary might be based on a real person or she might not be. There's a lot of different possibilities. So the most popular belief is that the legend is based on Mary the First or Mary Tudor. Do you know who that is?
I don't think so.
She was the first independently ruling queen of England, and she was the daughter of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon.
Okay.
Yeah, you know who those people are. And so she was born in 1516. She was a pretty normal princess, but like life kind of sucked for a princess back then as well. She just had kind of a rough childhood. Like she was supposed to be married to like a bunch of different people before she like even wasn't a baby anymore. Like she was just kind of used as a bargaining chip. You know how that is.
Right. If you thought being a pauper was hard, imagine being a princess.
Right. Yeah. She knew no privilege. So she also suffered from irregular periods and depression during her adolescent years. And like, didn't we all? But it probably was worse back then. And then her mom, of course, was having miscarriage after miscarriage to Henry VIII. This is the whole thing. She couldn't have a baby. She did have a few boys, but they all died shortly after birth. Mary was the only surviving child. And Henry VIII started to get like really fucking pissed that she wasn't having a boy. He blamed the whole thing on Mary's mom and ended up divorcing her and marrying Anne Boleyn. Mary's mom was sent away. And Mary she stuck around, but she lost her status as a princess. She was now considered illegitimate and not in line for the throne.
I honestly didn't even think divorces were a thing back then.
They weren't. And that's why, meanwhile, Henry was founding the Church of England, because back then England was Catholic and you couldn't have a divorce under Catholicism. You could have your marriage annulled if it wasn't consummated or, I don't know, for a bunch of stupid reasons, but you couldn't just get a divorce. And so Henry couldn't divorce his wife, so he started a whole new fucking church just so he could get a divorce.
My eye is twitching.
Yeah.
I can't.
Fucking men. Like, literally. And so Henry declared himself the head of the Church of England in order to take power from the Pope, because the Pope was telling him, no, like, you can't divorce your wife. You're just going to have to deal with not having an heir.
I'm just going to go build my own church.
Yeah. Imagine having the power to get rid of the Pope and build your own church, but not having the power to get a divorce under the Pope. Like, what? I don't know.
I don't get it. I don't even want to try to make sense of it.
Me either. So effectively what he did was he moved the country from Catholicism to Protestantism, which was a really big deal. People were pissed. Mary was fucking pissed because Mary was a devout Catholic. She ate, sleep, and breathed Catholic sky daddy. Like, she did not. She was already pissed at her dad. Her dad was super shitty to her whole life. And then he just cast her mom away, married Anne Boleyn, got rid of her religion. And so she was angry. The country was angry. 30,000 people took up protest. Monasteries were disbanded, feasts and holy days were banned, and the clergy who refused to give up their practices were burned at the stake.
Jeez. Also, rewind, isn't it devout Catholic?
Did I not say that?
You said devote.
Oh, my bad. Yes, you're right.
All right. Finally, Kat pronounces something wrong. And
finally, it happens all the time. We just don't notice it while we're recording. But anyway, so Mary was getting pissed. Ultimately, like, Anne Boleyn also didn't have a male heir, so Henry beheaded her. I don't know why he couldn't just divorce her. Yeah, he was just a raging dick. And then he ended up marrying Jane Seymour. Did you ever watch The Other Boleyn Girl?
No.
The movie? I watched it when I was way too young, like when it came out, and I was fucking traumatized because I think in the movie, I haven't seen it since I was little, but Henry VIII like can't fuck. He needs some boner cream, but he blames the women because he can't like fucking have a baby.
As you do.
And so Anne Boleyn's brother, I think, like offers to have sex with her to get her pregnant so he doesn't kill her.
Oh.
And I watched that as like an 8-year-old and I was like, oh my God.
And that's how you found out what sex was.
Yeah, literally. And then you watch her get beheaded. It was just very traumatizing.
Jeez,
Yeah.
did he knock her? Is that true?
I don't know. I think it was elaboration for the movie. Maybe there were rumors. I mean, the same shit happens in Game of Thrones, but whatever. So
as if that's some standard to historical
but
events.
I think that's just like what people like to like. It's like the most scandalous thing you can imagine. Like back in the days when, you know, like it just seems like a scandalous thing. Well, yeah, but like back then when like you had to have a baby with someone or you were going to be killed.
Yeah, the stakes aren't as high.
The stakes are very high. Like it's like, do I want to die or have sex with my brother? It'd be a tough decision. Anyway, so he married Jane Seymour in 1536, and then Mary finally, she was like, okay, like I'll come back to court. While she was serving on the court, she was a lady now. Her father married 3 more women until he died, and he only had one surviving son who was Edward the 6th. And then Edward the 6th took over the throne when Henry VIII died. But Edward was even a more intense Protestant reformer than his father. He ended Latin Mass, allowed priests to marry, and discouraged veneration of relics and religious artifacts. He just totally changed the way church was run, the experience of church back in the day. And again, people were even more angry. Mary was really angry. And when Edward died, because Edward, I think, was pretty sickly as well, Mary was supposed to take the throne. But Edward knew that if he died, Mary would switch the country back over to Catholicism. So he tried to leave the crown to his cousin, Lady Jane Grey. Mary was not having that bullshit. She was like, this is my crown. I'm ready to take my country back. So she went around to the nobles of England and campaigned to get their support to march with armies on London. They all wanted Catholicism back. They agreed with her. So they marched on London. Mary and her younger sister Elizabeth rode into the city with them. They cut off Jane's head and put Mary on the throne.
Wow. That is some activism for you.
Yeah.
All in the name of Sky Daddy.
Yes, intense activism and very extreme. Mary reigned for 5 years, and during that time, religion was her top priority. She implemented reforms and restrictions, putting Catholicism back in place. She married Philip of Spain, who was a Catholic. And during this time, a lot of Protestants started fleeing the country. Because remember when Henry VIII came into power, he killed all the Catholics. Now Protestants were like, okay, Mary's going to kill us. And they were fucking right. Mary had 280 Protestants burned at the stake.
Oh my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, and that's how she got the nickname Bloody Mary.
Ooh, should have been named Smelly Mary. I bet that stench was awful.
Yeah, but burning at the stake doesn't sound that bloody, but it does sound smelly.
Yeah. It smells smelly too. Sounds and
It
smells.
smells smelly smell.
All the senses are in overdrive in a bad way.
Yeah, not great. And this sounds bad, right? This sounds really bad.
Yeah.
But like if you look at it from the lens of the time, like this was a normal and accepted punishment for heresy. Because if you're refusing to convert to the religion of the crown, you're committing heresy, which is essentially treason. And this had been a punishment for heresy for way before Mary. And people accepted this like as law, and like it is awful, but like Mary saw these killings as saving her subjects' souls, because if she allowed the Protestants to live, they would convert more people to Protestantism, and to Mary that meant they would be going to hell, which obviously is not an excuse. Like, I'm not defending her, but like this was not done by just Mary. Her dad, Henry VIII, did the same exact shit. He burned 81 people at the stake for exactly this, for heresy. He also burned as many as, this says 57 to 72 subjects, but I think it's supposed to say 570 to 720 subjects, had them executed, and also executed 2 of his wives. So Henry VIII had a bigger track record of killing, and so did kings before him. And so this doesn't make what Mary did not bad, but giving her the reputation as like the most evil person of her time and Bloody Mary, that comes with a little bit of misogyny. It was because a woman was doing this, then she was this evil person, whereas it had been accepted for hundreds of years by other rulers.
That's not fair that she has been known for the rest of time as Bloody Mary for that. You're right. And
yeah,
you're right
and
in saying none of this is good. This is like
no,
all bad.
I'm not defending her. I'm just saying that this reputation as this evil like blood monster was because she's a woman, and like all these men before her are just as responsible for just as many murders, but like we just accept it.
Yeah, you do what you know, and that's what she knew.
Yeah, that's what she knew. People think that this legend of Bloody Mary is based on her because that's the nickname she got. It's also possible that this nickname references the fact that Mary suffered a lot of miscarriages during her marriage to Philip of Spain. She was never able to keep a pregnancy to full term.
What an awful, awful thing to say about someone who has suffered through miscarriages.
It is extremely awful. And like this, we know that this really bothered Mary because of course she wanted to pass the crown on to one of her own. This was the way she was going to keep the country Catholic, which meant so much to her, and she couldn't have an heir. And a lot of Bloody Mary ritual legends revolve around this character, Bloody Mary, having lost a baby. That's another reason why people think it might be based on Mary of Tudor, but it might not be.
She's in the afterlife like, why don't they talk about my incredible interior decorating skills? Why am I not known for my impeccable... I don't know what her skills were, but...
My TikTok dances. What about my TikTok dances?
What about the words per minute I could type? They don't know me.
Oh, they don't know how good I can make my HelloFresh. I can follow recipes so good.
They don't know how good I can read, is what you just said.
She could read.
Which is a good feat. It's important to know how to read.
So important. You're right. This might not be based on Bloody Mary. The other person who it might be based on is Mary Worth. Mary Worth was a supposed witch from Salem, Massachusetts.
All right. I'm listening now.
Yeah, this is a fun one. As the legend goes, Mary was living outside of town in the woods. She had a little witch cabin. She was known for making herbal remedies. She wasn't like doing black magic, but she was making like things with herbs and selling them to the townspeople.
It's like these days, all vegans would be burned as witches.
Pretty much. Like she wasn't even doing anything wrong. She was making herbal medicine and living by herself. But how dare she? She's a woman.
Screw Big Pharma.
Yeah. she was a little QAnon, but she was all right. She was all right.
Okay. Tell me more before I'm like on her side.
She was anti-vax, but you know, she didn't deserve to be called a witch.
I want vaccinations and herbal remedies.
Yeah.
I just want to slather on all the remedies, including the scientific ones.
I want boner cream and herb paste to help my lips.
And Ralphie and Alice.
Yes, and Ralphie and Alice. So she was doing her own thing. For these reasons stated above, people thought she was a witch and they all kind of stayed away from her. They were afraid she would curse them. And then young girls started to go missing from the village. Everyone was kind of already suspicious of Mary because she was kind of sus. She didn't really socialize. And so they showed up at her house, started questioning her. Mary totally denied knowing anything. But the people noticed that this haggard, old, gross lady was looking a little cuter than normal. She looked a little youthful. So they were just like, that's kind of weird, but we don't have any proof, so we're going to go home. Then one night, the miller's daughter was drawn to a noise outside that only she could hear. So she just leaves the house and starts walking away. And then her mom and dad are like, where's our daughter? And ironically, as this in the story, the mom was treating her toothache with an herbal mixture that she had bought from Mary. The parents followed the girl. They were chasing after her, telling her to stop, but she was just kind of in a trance. And they noticed that she was going toward a light at the edge of the woods. When they got closer, they saw that it was Mary Worth holding up a wand that was emitting a light. And the Spooktown. So the townspeople saw this. They were like, hell no, not in our town. And they gathered in a violent mob, chased Mary into the forest. A farmer shot her with a silver bullet. I guess she didn't die. She was then dragged into the woods and burned at the stake. While she was burning, she put a curse on the village that if they ever dared utter her name into a mirror, she would come back for revenge.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What would you curse a town with if they did that to you?
I would think of something a little bit more common than saying my name into a mirror, because I would want everyone to be cursed. I'd be like, okay, if you go to McDonald's, I'm going to curse you.
I would want them to suffer. I'd be like, every time you put on a shoe, you will feel an electric shock.
I think someone cursed me then, because my driver's side door on my car, every time I touch it, I get an intense electric shock. Like not just a static electricity one, but like it hurts. And so I've been having to use my sleeve to open and shut my car door, but it still shocks me through my sleeve. It's just not as intense as my bare hand. I'm really struggling, you guys.
We used to have this game when we were kids. It had like two handles and they were connected, and it would intensify in electric shocks. And the game was to see who could hold on the longest.
Wait, this was a game?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like a game sold at like Target?
Yeah. Think about like the 50s. Kids were eating fucking paint. And then in the 2000s, kids were shocking themselves to see how long you could last.
That's true. And then in the 2020s, they put boner cream on their lips as a TikTok trend.
Right. Fast forward to 20 years from now, your lips are huge, full of cancer.
Yes.
So you got what you wanted.
I did. So they killed her. She cursed them. And then the villagers searched her property. And when they were searching her property, they found the graves of the missing girls and realized that, surprise, surprise, Mary had been drinking their blood to get youthful again.
Okay, first of all, why would she give graves to the girls she drank?
I think that
their
just
blood?
means she buried them.
Okay.
I don't think it was like nice headstones.
It was like, rest in peace, Mary
Yeah.
Williams, whose blood I drank on this day.
I mean, maybe. Also, I don't know like how they knew she was drinking their blood. But also this didn't happen. So
They used that like teeth mark fake science that they used for many years where they're like, they could look at someone's
the
bite marks.
Yeah.
They're
Like she was sucking it out like a vampire.
Exactly.
I like to think they found like a cauldron of congealed blood and like a girl like hung over it like a pig with her throat slit. Ew, that's disgusting.
She
I'm
had like
sorry.
a refrigerator and it had like beakers
the world's
of
first refrigerator
Yeah.
just full of congealed blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably what happened.
Probably, but it didn't happen. Mary Worth was not a real person. It was just a legend built out of, I mean, who knows what. But we think that like this is like Inception. Like Bloody Mary might be based on Mary Worth, but Mary Worth was probably based on a real person named Mary Easty. And do you know who Mary Easty is?
No.
She was also a woman executed of witchcraft in Salem, but like this actually happened. She was executed for witchcraft in Salem. And there's like all these rumors that after her death, she started to appear to young women in their dreams and claim her innocence. She appeared to 17-year-old Mary Herrick, who was the first one to accuse her of witchcraft. And Mary Herrick felt so guilty of saying she was a witch that she like went to the preacher in town and was like, we did wrong. We fucked up.
Honey, that's your conscience.
Yeah.
That is not the ghost of witches past.
Yeah, exactly. But like the thing is, it might be based on a real witch or like, you know, alleged witch. But Bloody Mary might also just be a witch in general. And then these legends have been attached to her to like give a backstory. Maybe she started to just like a run-of-the-mill witch because in some versions of the story, she's bleeding from her forehead. And in 19th century Britain, a way to like heal someone of witchcraft was to scratch or cut their forehead until it bled. And so people think maybe that's what this is referencing. It was called scoring someone. So you would score above the breath of a witch, which basically meant cutting their face. And then it was supposed to like help relieve them of witchcraft. I don't know.
That or you burn them. So
Yeah. I mean, I would rather have someone scratch my face.
yeah, definitely.
For sure.
I'd rather no one attack me for being a witch and just let me do my witchy things.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I really
just let me
want.
live my life. There's also like all these like poems and published writings from back then in England where husbands would get mad at their wife and I think basically use this as an excuse to commit spousal abuse and like cut her face, like say that she was a witch. It's all really messed up. There's like poems making light of this. Like
They would.
yeah, that's kind of messed up, but it was a practice. And then there's all kinds of versions of this legend. There's one where a young girl named Mary Worth falls pregnant and she has her baby, but it dies. And then she goes mad with grief and stabs herself to death in front of a mirror. Maybe that's the ghost you're summoning. It also might reference Elizabeth Bathroy, and she's also known as the Queen of Blood or the Blood Countess. Do you know who this is?
No.
She's really famous. She's in a lot of podcasts, but Elizabeth was a Hungarian noble of the late 15th, early 1600s, and she holds the record in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most prolific female serial killer. She was accused of torturing and killing up to 650 young female servants of hers. She would just bring in young female servants from the surrounding like peasant villages and torture them and kill them. And it probably wasn't that many, but it was a lot. Like she definitely killed some people.
I mean, anything more than one is a lot.
Yeah.
any, honestly, is a lot.
Yeah.
Not even more than one. That was a silly statement.
Yeah, she was really wild. And there were all these rumors that she was doing this because she would bathe in their blood. And that would help her stay young.
Maintain her youth.
Yeah, maintain her youth. What is with like killing children and bathing in their like
you gotta plug your pores is what it is.
Yeah. Like blood is I'm pretty sure not good for your skin. They do
I have
blood.
No clue.
Kim Kardashian gets blood facials.
But that isn't like, is it putting blood on your face? Or I thought it was like you're like just making a bunch of little cuts in your face.
Yeah, and then the blood bleeds and then you like
I feel
have
like
a mask made of blood.
Yeah, it's different than putting blood on your face.
Maybe they do put blood on their face.
I think it is just
your own blood.
Cuts. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be bad for your skin? I don't know, but there's all these beliefs, and in a lot of legends, like in a lot of Bloody Mary backstories, they say it's Mary of Tudor, but then claim that Mary Tudor did this, killed female servants, bathed in their blood to stay young. Mary Tudor never did that. They kind of just like combine these two women and make it into the backstory for Bloody Mary.
Makes it easier for storytelling purposes.
Definitely much more cinematic. And then we also see this with the story of the witch, Mary Worth, how they accused her of like bathing in the blood of young girls. Other backstories sometimes reference Mary Queen of Scots, and Mary Queen of Scots was rumored to have killed her husband, and she also died a violent death of beheading, so that makes another kind of titillating story. People also say the Bloody Mary might be the Bell Witch of Tennessee. She might be a female student who was murdered by teachers. She might be a ghost whose children were murdered. And occasionally there's a crossover here between Bloody Mary and La Llorona, who is a woman of Hispanic folklore who had lost her children. And she appears like on the edge of a river. I don't know. There's a lot of like intermingling between different stories and Bloody Mary. But ultimately there's no one backstory to Bloody Mary. It's folklore, so it changes depending on who's telling it. It gets retold, repeated, and it's an oral tradition. So there's no one story. We have pretty much all played it as kids. It is super, super popular. The reason it's popular, psychologists say that there's this age between 9 and 12, and they call it the Robinson age. And that's probably around the age you played Bloody Mary, right? Yeah, and that's because the Robinson age is characterized by this craving for excitement. Kids crave excitement and fulfill that craving by playing these ritual games, by playing in the dark, by playing hide and seek, by like playing tag outside in the dark. Like it all just kind of tickles that itch for exploration and excitement. And they're able to feel that feeling of fear while being in a safe environment. Because, I mean, even as a 9 and 12-year-old, you know that Bloody Mary is not really going to pop up in the mirror, but it's still scary.
Yeah, what a fun time. Now it's like at 23 years old, I just want the opposite of excitement.
Yeah.
Like quarantine has been almost a dream.
It's been, yeah, but I don't know. I get it. I feel like when we play hide and seek or play the Ouija board, it kind of like scratches that same itch. Or just like going out at night and taking risks and like, you know.
I just don't need it as much as I did when I was between the ages of 9 and 12.
Definitely. Robinson age has come and gone. Ultimately, yeah, it makes sense. There's not an American alive, I think, who hasn't played this game at a sleepover. And is it real? Like, I never experienced anything anytime I played it. You said you haven't. There's a website that compiled a list of people's encounters with Bloody Mary. They essentially just summarized different blog posts. I meant to cite the website in here, but I think I'll cite it at the end. Of people who claimed to have experiences seeing Bloody Mary. And are they real? Probably not, but suspend your disbelief. I'm going to read you 2 of them.
Yay.
So here are my 2 favorites. The first goes, and I'm just going to read it verbatim. A group of girls was spending the summer at a camp in the Pacific Northwest on an island called Anacortes. And I chose this one because, I mean, I've been to Anacortes lots of times. Sick of exploring the woods, they decided to collectively fake food poisoning. They ran to a bathroom and shut themselves in it, hoping to make the fakery convincing. While they were there, one girl, Jessica, came up with the idea to play Bloody Mary. The rest of the group agreed. Also, I'm like, if you're hiding from your camp counselor, why would you play Bloody Mary? Because you're going to want to leave the bathroom.
Yeah, you should just lay in bed.
Yeah.
Like the rest of us.
They were stupid idiots. So the rest of the group agreed and they shut off the lights. Then they said Bloody Mary 3 times into the mirror and waited. At first, there was nothing. Then the mirror cracked. All the girls ran off screaming except for one. The remaining camper was paralyzed with fear. She stared and saw a flash of movement behind the mirror as if someone was standing right behind her. She turned and ran from the bathroom. The next morning, the girls laughed about the event, if only to hide how scared they'd been. Dun, dun, dun.
Bloody Mary shows up like, ding dong!
Yeah. Doing hot girl shit. The second one goes as follows. Lauren and her friend were in an experimental mood.
That's a slippery slope.
It is. But they decided instead of doing other things, they would play Bloody Mary.
Instead of making out with each other, they were going to play Bloody Mary.
Yeah. Maybe this is all just a euphemism. So they were driving, and while they were on the road, they stopped at a gas station with an outdoor restroom. They went in, they turned off the lights, they splashed water into the mirror.
I bet they did.
And they spun around saying Bloody Mary 3 times. Then Lauren's friend flushed the toilet and Lauren stared into the mirror. And the reason I chose this one is I was like really interested in the way the ritual is lined up here. Like there's all this stuff. They flushed the toilet, they splashed water on the mirror. I mean, do what you gotta do.
It's a sequence. You can't, it's like making a peanut butter jelly sandwich. First, you have to get the bread. Then you have to get the bread out. You know, it's an order. There's just a way you do things.
Apparently. Also, like going to a gas station bathroom, 2 young women in the middle of the night. That just sounds terrifying in its own.
Right.
You don't need to bring Bloody Mary into the mix.
It literally does not matter what year it is.
Yeah, it's always the same. So Lauren's friend flushed the toilet. Lauren stared into the mirror. What little reflection she could make out started turning red. She kept staring, and then her friend started screaming, and they ran out the door. Outside, Lauren's friend discovered that her face didn't just appear red, it was covered in blood. When they washed her face, they discovered tiny scratch marks like fingernail scratches all over her face.
Ew.
Like a Kim Kardashian's blood facial.
Oh, we should give each other blood facials when we get home.
No, we shouldn't. This is wild, unbelievable if you ask me, but there is actually a possible explanation for these experiences. So of course the fear element, like why we get so scared doing this ritual, partly has to do with our cultural beliefs around mirrors. So if you flash back to my episode on Victorian hair wreaths, we talked a little bit about how mirrors in the Victorian era, when someone would die, you'd cover them because you didn't want your soul to get sucked into the afterlife, or you didn't want the deceased person's spirit to get kept in the mirror. There's this belief that mirrors are somehow a portal to the afterlife. So that's the first thing. Also, there's a scientific explanation to why we sometimes see Bloody Mary in the mirror when we're playing Bloody Mary. This is because that if you stare into a mirror for a long time, especially in low light, it does cause hallucinations.
What?
Yeah. A study conducted by Dr. Caputo at the University of Urbino, participants stared into a mirror in dim light for 10 minutes. 66% saw distortions of their own face, 28% saw an unknown person in the mirror, and 48% saw some kind of monster in the mirror.
No wonder I have so many wrinkles.
Shut up. No, you don't.
I mean, if I'm hallucinating.
Yeah, you have to stare for a while. Do you often stare? Okay, yeah, I've been there too. I get it. But this is due to something that's called the Troxler effect. Do you know what that is?
No.
So it's basically where our brain can only process so much information at a time. So if you stare at one point, like your own eyes, for example, in the mirror, you kind of tune the rest out around you. And in your peripheral vision, it kind of distorts because your brain is filling in the gaps. So if you see something that kind of like resembles a face, your brain just fills in the gaps and makes a face there. And so you can see things that aren't there. You can try this at home. It's called scrying. You stare in the mirror until like things start to distort. And I was going to try it for this episode, but I was too scared.
Oh.
But this is a well-known thing. Like you can try it. And there's also, if you look up the Troxler effect on YouTube, there's all kinds of optical illusion videos you can watch. There's one really famous one where there's a black dot in the middle of like a blue ring, and you stare at the black dot and then the blue ring disappears.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've probably
Seen
done that one. Mm-hmm. That's the explanation. That's why we think that Bloody Mary has persisted so long, is because it does work for some people due to the Troxler effect.
Thank goodness there's a scientific explanation, because this is scary.
Yeah, it's not a mirror demon as far as we know. The last thing I want to do is talk about briefly Bloody Mary, the drink. A Bloody Mary is made with 2 ounces of vodka, 4 ounces of tomato juice, fresh lemon juice, Worcestershire sauce, Tabasco sauce, horseradish, celery bitters, salt, pepper, and you can garnish it with a lemon wedge, a celery rib, pickled green beans as desired. And it is served in a glass pint. And I actually lied. There's one more thing I want to do before this is over. We've got a big mirror right there in this office. I want to play Bloody Mary and see if we get anything. So can we dim the lights?
Yeah.
All right. We're looking into our own eyes. Oh, the lights are off. Okay. Ready? Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. Okay, it didn't work.
She's busy doing hot girl shit.
So I thought that would be much more exciting than it was. I was kind of thinking Bloody Mary would show up, but she's a busy bitch and she couldn't be there. So I'm going to cite my sources. We have Wikipedia, allthat'sinteresting.com, Snopes.com, hauntedrooms.co.uk, urbanlegend.fandom.com, Psychology Today, liquor.com, crimereads.co, folklorethursday.com, and jesterbear.com. And that was my lesson.
Wow, thank God for allthat'sinteresting.com.
I know, right? They're a staple around here. So thank you guys for listening. We're going to hear a quick word from our sponsor and we'll be right back.
All right, friends, as a teacher, you can't always be wearing red lipstick all the time. No judgment to those who do, but I know for myself, I'm wearing the Ralphie and Alice lipsticks. It's like a lip balm, keeps me moisturized, and it gives a nice little sheen, a little gloss. It's really nice for during the day. But at night, I need something to spice up my life. Even though we're in quarantine, I'm switching over to my night balm, and that would be Ralphie and Alice's red tinted lipsticks.
Yeah, it really does tint your lips. And I mean, I am all for looking cute while you teach. But if I were to put on an actual lipstick in front of my students who are 11 and 12 years old, they would rip me to shreds and I'd never be able to show my face again in the class. But if I put on a Ralphie and Alice pop sticks, which gives the same effect and it just looks like chapstick, we're Gucci. No one says a damn thing.
Right. You wonder, you're like, is she born with it or is it Ralphie and Alice?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's natural, but no, it's not. You just think it is because it looks that good. We really, really encourage you guys to check out ralphieandalice.com. The pop sticks is our favorite. It's that one that gives you that nice rosy glow. Also, it freaking smells like rose essential oil. It smells so good.
Right. You could cook with it probably, but get
shouldn't.
something cooking on your lips. It is vegan. I will tell you that.
Yeah, it is vegan. I think it's like a coconut oil base, something. You
It
probably
sure
could
is.
eat it. We've talked about this before. Maybe we want to eat it.
Yeah, I think that we're just getting down to the bare bones. It smells good. It looks good. And you can use it day or night. They have lots of different options for you depending on what you want your lips to look like. So I know you're interested. We have a code for you.
We do. So you can go to ralphieandalice.com and use our promo code NIGHTCLASSY. That is the name of this podcast. No spaces, just Night Classy. And you get our very, very special listener code, 15% off. You won't get that anywhere else.
Head on over and get ready to kiss your dry lips goodbye.
Mwah.
right. Welcome back. Let's dive in. So the standard work week is 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, coming out to our beautiful 40 hours per week as we know it. All you need is a cup of ambition to make it through that 9 to 5.
What a way to make a living, barely getting by. It's all taken and no giving back to use your mind. So fun fact, that was my favorite song when I was 10 years old, and I sang it at karaoke multiple times.
It's an amazing song.
It is an amazing song.
That's a
but
great
I was
go-to
obsessed with it.
Karaoke song.
It is because it's very easy to sing and everyone knows it and likes it.
Yeah, it's catchy,
Yeah.
it's bouncy. It's a great song. I wish I actually felt that way about my 9 to 5.
Right.
But really all we need is a little perspective to realize that 9 to 5 isn't as bad as like what it used to be. In 1890, the US government got curious about how much people were working. And after that year, and I don't know exactly what resources they used to get this information, but do you want to guess how many hours per week the average American was working in 1890?
65.
More.
Really?
Yes.
Damn. They be working.
They'd be working precisely 100 hours
Ooh.
per week.
How many would that be a day?
Too many. I don't know. 100
Like
divided
almost 20, right?
I literally
I guess
have
if you
no
worked
idea.
7 days a week, it would be less.
Yeah, there were no off days. So they're working
Yeah.
7 days a week. They were just freaking workhorses. And although labor unions and the masses of just the general population were trying to change this standard for the American workers, nothing really caught on until industrialist and person just of questionable and in my opinion, shitty beliefs, Henry Ford adopted the 5-day, 40-hour week for his Ford Motor Company employees. So 40 hours per week sounds really great compared to 100 hours per week.
Yeah.
Ford is also really well known for doubling daily wages for his employees. At the time, the average was about $2.50 per day. And he was like, we need to raise our wages so that people stay and do good work. So we're going to give them $5 per day. Of course, it was only to males, but he was trying to raise productivity and slow employee turnover. But don't let the sweet talk fool you. Ford thought that people should have 2 days off. So that's where we got our weekends from, so that they could have the time to relax. And it sounds really great and nice on the surface, but what he really wanted to do was give people time to relax and give them time to buy things like cars and stuff. And that's also why he raised wages. He wanted people to have money to buy things and time to buy things.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Why would you need a car if you don't have weekends and you can just like ride the bus to work every day?
Yeah, just skip on over to your factory.
Yeah.
Factory. That's the word. And he also thought of this as a type of profit sharing. Now, if you were an employee at Ford and met specific qualifications, you could actually take part in profit sharing. To do this, you had to work at Ford for 6 months or more, and you had to live your life in a way that was acceptable, according to Ford's personal own morals. This means that you could not drink, you could not gamble, and you couldn't be an absent parent, if you will.
Okay.
I agree with absent parenting. You should be present.
Yeah, did his own dad just really fuck him up with the drinking and gambling and was a terrible parent, and that's why he just has some trauma that he leverages over everybody else?
That's a good question. I didn't really do a huge backstory on Ford's upbringing. He didn't drink at all, though.
Okay.
I know that. And he was very rigid in his beliefs. He even had investigators and support staff ensure the employees were staying to these certain standards.
Like they weren't allowed to drink when they went home?
Yeah. Like they would spy on them.
Weird.
I know.
What a psycho.
Right. Like, cut to our principals right now peering in the third story window.
My principal would grab a drink and pull up a seat.
Oh, mine would too.
He would probably love to come on the podcast. he would enjoy that.
Yeah, he'd eat it up. He'd be like, let me DJ.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's more. If this like little tiny tidbit of information about Henry Ford doesn't have you feeling like some type of way about him, let me just push you right on over the edge. So he's famously anti-Semitic. He even went as far as publishing a weekly anti-Semitic newspaper called the Dearborn Independent.
Oh no.
Yeah.
What year are we in?
The lesson is going to be based in like the 1920s, just about there. But there's more. He was racist. He didn't trust people who were educated. He denied science, whatever science.
It's almost like all these things line up.
Right. Yeah. He was a real big time MAGA guy.
Yeah.
And like, okay, if America wasn't great then like, was it ever great? That's my question.
No. God.
But yeah, he's a real pull yourself up by your bootstraps type of guy.
We all know that guy.
We all know him.
And we all hate him.
He just so happened to create the 9-to-5 workday and the assembly line and all that shit. So
like in the name of capitalism.
Right, in the name of capitalism and not drinking. What is that called?
Yeah, why? I guess he just was for everything bad and against everything fun, I think is what it boils down to.
Yeah, I'd really like to know more about his beliefs. That is not what we're talking about today, though. I thought it would be fun to learn about Henry Ford's one of his most notorious blunders. We're talking about Fordlandia. Fordlandia is the utopia that Ford thought up as a solution to one of his biggest business problems at the time. In the late 1920s, Ford bought a bunch of land in Brazil, hundreds of acres, and this land was inaccessible. There were no roads going to this land, and he started to bring in tons of supplies, and he started to clear land in order to make a rubber plantation. So the good news is he didn't just go in and steal the land, I guess, but Ford needed his own rubber plantation because other industrialists in Britain were monopolizing rubber and they were raising the prices. And Ford was like, I'm not going to play by your rules.
Yeah, imagine like the cost prohibitive part of making cars being the tires.
He controlled pretty much every raw material that went into the cars. And also I had no idea that rubber comes from a tree.
Yeah, haven't you heard of like rubber plantations? I think it was like the Congo, the French and the Dutch colonized Africa and made people harvest rubber, and it was like horrifying. It was like some of the worst colonism in terms of violence.
Jesus, I must have forgotten about that part in school because I was like, oh my God, a rubber tree? Like I thought it has always been synthetic, which they started making synthetic rubber in like the 50s or something.
Oh, I didn't know it was synthetic now.
Yeah.
I heard about rubber for the first time in school in like the context of the Dutch like horrifying like human rights violations, and thought that that's weird. I didn't know rubber came from a tree, and then I assumed it all came from trees until now.
Yeah, rubber comes from trees, the real stuff. Basically, they make a cut in the tree and the rubber seeps out of it. The rubber tree grows naturally in the Amazon region of South America. So when the British explorer Henry Wickman went to the Amazon and he stole a bunch of rubber and its seeds, and he brought them back to England, and he planted them in English colonies in Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and Indonesia. Now, the good thing for Henry Wickman was that there were no natural pests to the rubber trees. So the rubber farms were super successful because there was nothing stopping them from growing like fucking bonkers. So they had all the rubber that they wanted, and they had almost complete control over it. So this rubber cartel was formed, and these rubber gangsters were in complete control of the market. And this made Henry Ford very sad.
Oh, poor baby.
He wanted to be in complete control of all the materials. And he did not want to play with his friends anymore. So cut back to Fordlandia. Construction gets started right away. They start shipping all of the materials to bake up a small town. They ship these materials down the river, the Tabajos.
You got to say it with confidence.
I think it's Tabajos because it's Tapajos.
Probably Tabajos. I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm sorry. and they also sent down American managers, and they hired Brazilian citizens to work and live in this new town of Fordlandia. It did not take long for things to start going bad. As they were clearing the land, they were literally attacked by ants, hornets, scorpions, vipers, and Ford was like, press on.
Oh my God. And the freaking people he hired that live in Brazil, they're like, yeah, this is gonna fucking happen, but this idiot is gonna pay us.
They're like, sir, this is a terrible idea. And he's like, what? And they're like, this is a terrible idea. And he's like, huh? I can't hear you. Keep working. And he pressed his workers to press on. Ford never actually visits Fordlandia over the decades that it will exist.
I mean, why would you? There's ants, snakes, and scorpions there.
I mean, when you're clearing the fucking Amazon forest, like people did live around this area.
And they knew there were ants, snakes, and scorpions. When you rip up the forest, they didn't rip up the forest.
Like, we don't really do that here.
That's just not gonna.
And Ford's like, but could we try? Could we try to do it?
You never know if you don't try.
I'll pay you $5 per day.
Deal.
Which is like 130 in today's terms. So
great deal.
Yeah,
I'd do it.
They did it. They did it. Despite the challenge of deadly insects and animals, they got the land cleared, and Ford's vision of this utopia got one step closer to reality. And when I say he had a vision, I don't mean like he was like, I just want to make my own rubber farm and make my own rubber. I mean, he was ball deep in Fordlandia. Ford didn't really like things outside of his little circle of influence, so he needed Fordlandia to look and feel exactly like the small Midwestern town he grew up in.
Ew.
Basically, he erased any and every hint of the Brazilian culture.
Did he make the workers live like that?
Oh, yes. He made it to look exactly like a small white town in Midwest America. He grew up in Michigan, I think in Dearborn, I believe. Fact check me on that. But in addition to the housing they constructed, there were, of course, fields and fields of rubber trees planted. And they were planted so densely that we'll later find out it wasn't a huge success. But anyway, at the time, it wasn't too difficult to find workers for the farms. Ford promised Brazilians things like free health care, education, and these were things that they were not getting on a regular basis. And it's really unfortunate because, it was really enticing to the workers, but there were still a ton of issues with Fordlandia. So Ford definitely achieved the vision that he wanted, but you can't just force people to assimilate to your culture. I mean, you can definitely try, but it's not going to go well.
Especially just like, why? Like, he didn't live there.
Exactly.
What did he care?
What the fuck did he care? Like, okay, you have American managers there, but you want to hire the people of Brazil to do all the farming for you. Just build some freaking rubber farms and let them do their thing.
Yeah, he must just have like a crazy God complex, because I can't imagine why else you would want everything to be like the way you want it when you're not even going to be there.
He must, because the way he just thinks that everything outside of what he thinks is right is completely wrong.
Yeah.
He's judgy. He was judgy. And Ford, he expected the Brazilian workers to work the 9-to-5 schedule that he was accustomed to in America. The issue with that, though, is that it's hot as fuck in Brazil. So they were used to waking up super early in the day, taking a break at the hottest point in the day, and then going back. But he was like, I don't care. Sweat it out. Work it out. Get back to work.
He just loved Dolly Parton. There's no other explanation.
He must have, because there was no way Dolly Parton would love him.
He loved her enough for both of them.
Yeah, he sure did. He was super into it, and he was like, Dolly, I'm going to make you millions one day. And if we recall from earlier in the lesson, Ford was really strategic about giving his workers the weekends to relax. And so they were able to buy things with their relaxation time and their high wages. And it was not the same. It didn't translate in Brazil because they were not surrounded by things to buy. They didn't need cars. Things were not like they are in America. Shockingly, other countries are not like America.
What? That's the first time I've heard this.
Well, I have a lot of things to tell you. No time for right now on the podcast. But the people in Brazil, they didn't need to buy so many things, so they didn't need the money. They would work for a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. They'd make their money and then leave. They'd get that bread, get that head, then leave.
I mean, why not?
Leave. Yeah. And they should have named Fordlandia Turnover City because
hit it and quit it.
It was not working. Yeah. Yeah. The Brazilians were the fuck boy and Fordlandia was the girl just trying to get knocked up.
Oh, Lord.
So hard.
And Ford was like her dad trying to make her settle down and be proper.
Yeah. He's like, just find a nice young man.
He works a 9-to-5. He goes to church on Sunday.
Yeah, she's in love with a bad boy, but he's
she's
just
like,
trying.
that sounds fucking boring, Dad. I don't live my life that way. And girl, I don't blame you.
I don't blame you either. And that would have been fine, but there's more. Somehow there's more. Henry Ford loved square dancing.
Just when he thought he couldn't get anywhere.
I know. Not only that, but him and his wife met at a square dance.
They fucking would. What universe does this man live in?
White America in the 1920s.
Oh, God. I didn't even know there was square dancing in the 1920s. Everything I know about the 1920s is like
Prohibition. Depression.
Yeah.
The war.
Yeah, I guess I never learned the dark side.
The dark side of the moon.
All I knew was prohibition, depression, and war. I didn't realize there was a darker underbelly of square dancing.
There are layers, and you don't learn it in school because you don't want to. This is the podcast you can go to. It's like on the front side, you get to learn about fun things, the mystery of Bloody Mary. On the back end, there's Fordlandia.
There's square dancing.
There's square dancing. He was a fucking freak for square dancing. He was a hoe for square dancing.
He had a wop for square dancing. What is wrong with this man?
So
Genuinely, I'm asking, like, I want a psychologist to evaluate him.
He literally blamed everything on Jewish people. So all the things that could be wrong with you?
So he liked
what he
the
had.
least Jewish thing of all the things, which is square dancing.
Yeah, he really
That's why he loved it.
He latched onto it. Yeah. Yeah. He thought everyone should love square dancing just the same. He built a huge dancing hall in Fordlandia, and let's just say it was not popular.
The Brazilian people that knew how to dance were
Yeah.
just like, nah.
They can fucking dance, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be in a square. And so that was one thing. And like we just talked about, at the time, Americans were suffering through the Prohibition. And Henry Ford never drank. He loved Prohibition. He thought that everyone should have a dry ass mouth because that was just what he believed. And so even though drinking was completely legal in Brazil, he enforced Prohibition laws in Fordlandia in Brazil. But good news for all the dry blankets, since he was a wet one. Some guys open up a bar a couple miles from Fordlandia, right on the border, and they called it the Island of Innocence.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I
they
love
need,
them.
They need to make that an actual like franchise and make it the wildest bar.
That'd be so funny.
Yeah.
I need a good bar around here with a clever name.
They should make it, they should have the heater on all the time and make it really humid. Like a rainforest cafe, but Island of Innocence. Make it like the rainforest.
Yeah, let's make a bar.
Wow.
We could.
Our next adventure. Donate
yeah.
to us on Patreon.
Yeah, help us make the very sound financial investment of starting a bar.
Girl, I made you a bar. Bitches love bars.
Let's make a bar and then do live shows there every night to like one person.
I'm in. All you had to say was bar and I'm in.
Do you remember the John Mulaney bit where he's doing stand-up in a bar and there's one old lady sitting there on the chairs in front of him? There's like one person. And
I don't remember.
She heckles him. Oh, it's pretty good.
She hackles him.
Yeah.
I want to be that old lady.
Me too.
Because at this point in my life, if I was the only one in the bar, I would probably leave. I don't think I have the confidence.
Who has the confidence to sit there and be the only one to watch a stand-up comic?
Someone on the brink of death?
Yeah, not I.
Not I. I am not your girl.
No.
Give me 80 years, I'll be there. Maybe 60. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. 40 to 60 years.
As a performer too, like I don't think I would do a show for one person. I'd be too scared.
I had to do group interviews for one person before. And that's an awkward complex.
Did you have to ask the discussion question and then you participate in the discussion?
Yeah, you had to be quick on your feet, you know?
Why wouldn't you just make it a one-on-one interview?
Because it would be a one-on-one interview, but you have this huge room that's meant to hold like
But you could just sit next to them.
Oh, that's even worse.
How?
I mean, you have the power when you're behind the desk. When you're the interviewer, you don't want to be on the same level as the interviewee.
I've had plenty of jobs where I get granted like restaurant jobs, but where I sit down at like a restaurant table with the manager and have my interview. I don't think that's weird.
I don't think it's weird for a restaurant, but I think for a marketing corporation,
I guess, but it was run by
different.
college students. I don't know.
I mean,
I feel like I just feel like sitting next to them is less awkward than having them in like a conference room and you're across the room on a desk.
It's like one of those scenarios where it's awkward if you make it awkward. So of course the first few times it was
They were
super
probably shitting their pants.
Yeah.
It might not be awkward for you, but oh my
no.
God.
Oh no, it was awkward for me the first several times. But it's like it's like learning how to ride a bike. You're gonna crash a few times, but then you learn how to fucking turn.
I guess, or you could just get a bike that makes more sense. One
Yeah.
with pedals. I don't know.
Do that. Either way, I found a way and I got one-on-one interviews done.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez. But anyway, just like I got things done, Ford did too. Just like at home, there were like little investigators who made sure that the people were abiding by the rules of prohibition laws in Fordlandia. They would spy on the citizens, even in their own homes, to make sure they weren't drinking. And like, it's a good thing they had a bar, because at this point, if you work for Ford, you got to drink.
Yeah, you fucking need a bar.
You need it like you need water.
Yeah.
Not only was Ford forcing his liquid intake beliefs upon the people of Brazil, but he was also forcing his dietary choices on them too. He was kind of like a pioneer of healthy eating in America.
Was he a vegetarian?
Yes.
God damn it, I knew it. We don't claim him.
Yeah, I would reject him hard. He was vegetarian, and his pushiness literally led to a riot.
Yeah, imagine being in the fucking rainforest and I don't know what they eat in the rainforest, but I imagine it's a lot of fruit and pork. And imagine being told you can't have half of your diet and you have to live off of bananas or whatever. Like, I don't imagine there's a ton of agriculture near the rubber plantation.
Yeah, they cleared
soy.
Acres and acres and acres of land.
Yeah, so what are you going to eat?
Who knows? The workers and citizens of Fordlandia were like, okay, we can deal with the 8 hours of work per day straight through. We can deal with your weird obsession with square dancing. We can deal with you outlawing alcohol. We can deal with you pushing your vegetarianism on us. But there was the one straw that broke the camel's back. Rioting ensued in 1930 when Fordlandia changed their dining hall from a restaurant-style service to a cafeteria-style service in order to streamline efficiency.
Oh, so you only had one choice.
You had plenty of choices, but you weren't getting served anymore. It was like a go through the line and get your tray instead of a restaurant. And people lost their minds, as you would.
Yeah.
As you would in their
you're
in
like,
their
my
situation.
one luxury is that I get to eat at a restaurant every day. And now it's a cafeteria.
Yeah,
That's
this is
not fair.
my living hell.
And I can't even get a gin and tonic at the cafeteria.
Right. I might as well be back in college, working constantly, dancing everywhere, no alcohol allowed. Weird eating habits. Yeah, it was terrible. And so they rioted. They rioted. They destroyed much of the town. They iconically smashed the time clocks. They ruined buildings. They cut telegraph wires, and they ran the managers out of the town. Some of them,
where did they go?
Some of them fled on boats. Some of them fled into the forest. It was a shit fuck, and it was amazing.
Oh my God.
Honestly, the rioting was as much of a shit fuck as the existence of Fordlandia was.
Yeah.
Like, you could have known it was going to be a shit fuck by the name of it. Fordlandia.
Yeah. Oh my God.
This is literally a fantasy.
Imagine being a manager and just like being like, I'm on your side, but boss says. And then you just get run into like a mess of crocodiles and mosquitoes, and then you're dead.
I mean, you would deserve it after
forcing.
100%. Boss says you got to square dance. You got to square dance. I don't know what to tell you. You just square dance your own over to that time clock by 9 a.m.
I think I could square dance if I had drank a bunch of whiskey before, but imagine square dancing sober.
I think I could square dance if I had any rhythm at all.
Or if you were drunk.
I think I could square dance if... I don't know if I could, because it actually seems kind of involved.
It does.
There's a lot going on.
There is. But like, I think that I could make it be fun if I were.
I think a lot of things are fun when you're drunk.
Exactly. But imagine doing that sober. Imagine doing any form of dancing sober.
Right. You could bear to square dance.
Yeah.
So if you were drinking.
Like if I was dating someone and they said, wouldn't it be like funny if we got wasted at like a gay country bar and then went square dancing and like wore cowboy boots? That would be pretty fun.
Okay. Yeah. Get the drinks, get the gays, and get dancing involved,
Yeah.
that's fun.
That would be fun. But imagine going to a square dancing hall with the people of your town and everybody is sober.
Yeah.
That's not
That
fun.
sounds awful.
Yeah.
Also, the way I said get the gays, I don't know if that probably doesn't sound right.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Get the
I'm
girls, the
sorry.
gays, and the days.
Yeah.
Hit the square dance.
Yeah. And they didn't have the drinks. They did not square dance. They did not do any of those things. They rioted. The Brazilian army ended up taking back the town and kind of getting it under control. But Ford doubled down. He threw more money at his failure. And Fordlandia was never really even considered a success at any part of this journey.
Were they making rubber?
No, they weren't making
Really?
rubber. He pushed on for decades and they weren't producing any rubber because first of all, he denied science. He did not get any professionals in there who knew anything about botany or rubber or farms or anything like that. He was just like, let's plant as many trees as we possibly can and reap the benefits. So they were planted so unnaturally close together that they couldn't get sun and the insects were brutal. They were killing plants before they could even produce any rubber.
Can you imagine having that kind of confidence?
I mean, after doing everything seemingly yourself and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, he's the figured out type of guy.
Yeah. Like...
No, I can't imagine.
I can't imagine.
I can't.
And how I can't. And how did someone this stupid? Like, it's just not fair. My hang up is it's not fair. I would like to be rich and own a car manufacturing company. And I think I'm smarter than him because I would hire botanists and experts to help me cultivate a rubber farm.
Yeah.
And I would not
agree.
force people to do stupid shit for no reason.
Exactly. It's like, okay, so being smart is not a prerequisite for success.
No, not at all.
But
I mean, I
also,
think we already
it's
knew
not-
that, but it's frustrating
It's
when we
like-
hear it like this.
Right. And you see, like, he was wildly successful.
Yeah, he really was.
And just knowing all of his beliefs and the way he went about his life, like, it's one thing. Like, I don't hold anything against you for having a vegetarian diet.
Right, living life like you want it, but don't impose it on other people.
Right. You're not hurting anyone like by drinking, unless you drink and drive or like get, abusive when you drink, like crazy shit. But like, if you want to drink and have some freaking wine after work.
As an armchair psychologist, I imagine he had a very traumatic childhood with like an abusive drunk as a father. And so he always pictured having like this perfect American dream and like utopian upbringing.
Right.
Where everything was perfect and then just tried to impose that on everybody else is how I imagine this happened because I can't imagine another reason. Like, of course, you have cult leaders that try like use these things to try to control people. And maybe that was what it was, control. But like, if he didn't believe in it, why would he also adhere to these things,
Yeah, I think it could have definitely been both. I think in a lot of instances like this where someone just is behaving and makes decisions so non-understandably, like just so crazily, a lot of things are rooted in untreated trauma. And everyone has trauma. It just depends on kind of how it plays out in your life. And I think you're right about that. And I think that it probably is a control thing too. One thing that I want to revisit is that he never visited Fordlandia.
Yeah.
So weird, right?
Couldn't the managers just be like, yeah, no one drinks. We square dance every night. And they can just like do what they want.
Imagine how successful it could have been if they just let them do their thing.
Yeah, he could have just farmed rubber like a normal person and not been crazy.
Yeah, instead of waiting it out for 3 decades before fucking synthetic rubber came around. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And eventually he did get tired of failing. He shut down Fordlandia in 1945. So
Damn.
25 years after construction started.
Bad timing, because I imagine there was a high demand for rubber in 1945.
I mean, after pouring so much money into it, you gotta reallocate a few things.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, his grandson had taken over the company, and his grandson was like, thank God, let's let this money pit go.
Yeah.
So they sold Fordlandia back to the Brazilian government for much less than they bought it for all those years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like 25 years ago.
They were just so, yeah, right? Like the inflation rates and everything. They sold it for, I don't know how much. You can look it up on your own time. But people still live there today. It was pretty much abandoned for decades, but it's seen a slight revival thanks to tourist culture. So you can go to the Amazon, see the remains of Henry Ford's lesser known failure, but I recommend doing something actually meaningful with your time after COVID is all done instead. Just look up the pictures of Fordlandia if you're interested. And I'm going to move on to my sources. That was my lesson. So all this information came from a 99% Invisible article called Fordlandia, the Henry Ford Wikipedia page, the Fordlandia Wikipedia page, a Guardian article about Fordlandia by Kevin Rushby, and an article on at indiatoday.in, which is titled Henry Ford started the 40-hour work week, but the reason will surprise you. Class dismissed.
Nice. Thank you for that, Hayley. If you enjoyed this, please go to Apple Podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Also, you can follow our social medias. Recommend us to a friend. That's probably the best thing you can do for us. Get some more people to listen. Kidnap them in your car. Make them listen to us. And you can follow our social medias at Night Classy. Or even subscribe to our Patreon and hear Reggie's amazing episode. So thank you again for listening. And 3, 2, 1, class dismissed.